GitHub Copilot SDK Writer. Agents for every app. Embed Copilot's agentic workflows in your application with the GitHub Copilot SDK for Python, TypeScript, Go, .NET, Java, and Rust. The GitHub Copilot SDK exposes the same engine behind Copilot CLI, a production-tested agent runtime you can invoke programmatically. No need to build your own orchestration. You define agent behavior. Copilot handles planning, tool invocation, file edits, and more. Available SDKs: Node.js, TypeScript. Installation command is npm install at GitHub Copilot SDK. Python, pip install GitHub Copilot SDK. Go get GitHub Copilot SDK. Go, .NET add package GitHub Copilot SDK. Rust, cargo add GitHub Copilot SDK. Java, Maven coordinates com, GitHub Copilot SDK. Java. Instructions for Maven and Gradle are provided in the Java README. Get started with a Getting Started guide, which includes a quick walkthrough. Quick steps: optionally install the Copilot CLI. For Node.js, Python, and .NET SDKs, the CLI is bundled automatically, while for Go, Java, and Rust you may need to install it manually or ensure Copilot is in your path. Install your preferred SDK using the commands above. Then refer to the SDK README for usage examples and API documentation. Architecture: all SDKs communicate with the Copilot CLI server via JSON RPC. The SDK client sits between your application and the CLI in server mode. The SDK manages the CLI process lifecycle automatically. You can also connect to an external CLI server if desired. FAQ: do I need a GitHub Copilot subscription to use the SDK? Yes. A subscription is required unless you are using BIOC, Bring Your Own Key, where you can use your own API keys from supported large language model providers. The pricing page includes a free tier with limited usage. How does billing work for SDK usage? Billing is the same as the Copilot CLI. Each prompt is counted toward your premium request quota. For more information, see the requests section in the Copilot documentation. Does it support BIOC? Yes. Configure the SDK to use API keys from providers such as OpenAI, Azure AI Foundry, or Anthropic. Note that BIOC uses key-based authentication only. Microsoft Entra ID, managed identities, and third-party identity providers are not supported. What authentication methods are supported? The SDK supports GitHub sign-in user credentials from the CLI, OAuth GitHub app tokens, environment variables such as Copilot GitHub token, GH token, and GitHub token, as well as BIOC. Do I need to install the Copilot CLI separately? No. For Node.js, Python, and .NET the CLI is bundled automatically. For Go, Java, and Rust you must install the CLI manually or ensure it is in your path. Advanced configuration allows overriding the CLI binary or connecting to an external server. What tools are enabled by default? The SDK exposes the first-party tools available in the CLI. When invoked with the Allow All flag, tool execution is still governed by each SDK's permission handler, so applications can approve, deny, or customize tool calls. Can I use custom agents, skills, or tools? Yes, the SDK lets you define custom agents, skills, and tools. Extend the functionality by implementing custom logic and integrating additional tools. Are there instruction or SDK guidance for Copilot to speed up development? Yes, there are custom instruction files for Node.js, Python, .NET, Go, Rust, and Java that provide guidance on how to use the SDK to accelerate development. What models are supported? All models available via the Copilot CLI are supported by the SDK. The SDK also exposes a method to retrieve available models at runtime. Is the SDK production ready? The GitHub Copilot SDK is generally available and follows semantic versioning. Refer to the changelog for release notes. How do I report issues or request features? Use the GitHub Issues page to report bugs or request new features. Quick links. Documentation. Full documentation index. Getting started. Tutorial to get up and running. Setup guides. Architecture, deployment, and scaling. Authentication. GitHub OAuth, BIOC, and more. Features, hooks, custom agents, machine learning conversation protocols, skills, and more. Troubleshooting, common issues and solutions. Cookbook. Practical recipes for common tasks across all languages. More resources. Additional examples, tutorials, and community resources. Unofficial, community-maintained SDKs. These are unofficial, community-driven SDKs and are not supported by GitHub. Use at your own risk. There are SDKs for Clojure and C++. Contributing. See the contributing guidelines for how to contribute. License. The code is released under the MIT license.